And now I'm really happy to welcome our first guest, Marissa, who will share with us her story today.
Thank you. So my story begins, I was a cheerleader in high school. I was captain of the cheerleading team, dating the quarterback. So if you want to picture my happy-go-lucky life, you can. And I had never had sex before. So when I started having sex with my then boyfriend, we were careful, you know, condoms were obviously used. And then one day, the condom broke. We are 17, you know, oh no, it's okay, we pulled out. Obviously, we all know that that doesn't work as well as you'd hope. So 3 weeks after high school, I was done being in denial, and I took a pregnancy test. It was a week after my missed period, and I found out I was pregnant. I was absolutely distraught. I was like, you know, how do you go from perfect little life that everyone has, you know, or ever you would hope to have, and going off to college in 3 weeks, and suddenly you are pregnant. So I, you know, confided in my then boyfriend, and we kind of were like, this cannot happen. I was like, this can't happen, but I don't want to have to make this choice. Ultimately, I did go through with having an abortion, and it was very hard for me because, you know, I had a supportive family, I was in a relationship, given we were young, but, you know, things could have been worse. So I struggled with that for a long time. I mean, I'm still struggling with it today. But having the choice and not being restricted, I'm from New York State, so I told my mom, and I found out I was pregnant on a Saturday, and the following Friday I was in to have an abortion with really no loops, no stipulations. We did have to do a small counseling session, you know, to make sure this is what you wanted and such. But, you know, my mom was there with me. We went 4 hours, you know, I think it was like a 4-hour time period. You get put to sleep, you have the abortion, you wake up, and it's like, okay, you know, there you are. So in terms of being like a Jane Doe, I could absolutely not imagine if I had to, you know, fight for that right. And obviously, in my case, it was such a privileged situation that I, you know, 1 mile away from my house, there's an abortion clinic, and I got to go and get an abortion. And I don't want to say, like, you know, wipe my hands clean, because it was a very tough decision. But it was simple in the sense that I had the right and I had the ability to make the choice, which really is what made the difference. Because, you know, it was hard enough to be 17, be pregnant. You know, I'm going off to college, and then having to go to court to get an abortion it just seems like unfathomable, but it's happening. And so I share my story because, you know, I think it's important that we end the stigma for abortion. And, you know, when people say, oh, so-and-so can you believe so-and-so got an abortion? And I stand there in front of them, and I try to, you know, you don't want to scream it to the mountains, but I say, you know, well, I did too. And it kind of makes them step back and realize that, you know, someone that I know and love and care about and think is like a good person, to say that they made that choice. So if they made that choice, I hope that people can look at me and say, well, I know who you are and I understand, so that can help me understand why other people who I don't know and who I might want to judge look and, you know, take back that judgment and just be open and about it. And I just enjoy when people come to me and are like, you know, that happened to me too, and I'm so glad that you are open about it, because I can't be, and I know that I can confide in you. And I think that's you know, helpful to me also, knowing that I'm helping others through like a tough situation.
Marissa, you were 17 in your story, and Jane Doe was 17 in her story. And there are many, many Jane Does who are adolescents in detention centers now needing abortions. What are some of the connections you see between your experience and the Jane Does we know who are in the country right now?
I would say probably the feelings would be the most connection, based on, you know, you're scared, you don't know what to do. And it's unfortunate that I almost see that there's not a connection in terms of, you know, the right or the ability, because they're in detention centers and totally not able to access this care. when I made a phone call. And that's that's the scariest part, that I made a phone call and somebody else within our country doesn't have that ability. You know, we're same country, and depending on where you are, one person makes a phone call and pencils in an appointment, and the other person is stuck in detention with no options.
Yeah.
So scary, so scary.
Well, we so appreciate you telling your story with us today and helping change the situation for all the Jane Does in the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.